because you know where it came from. But if it's if you don't know who it's from, or if it's unsolicited, if you didn't ask for it, and even if you know who it's from, be careful with all of it, because you know they might have been compromised, and it might be coming from their account, but not from them, someone through their account, and there's malware in there.
And some of those things look really authentic.
Wait till I show you some of these. Yeah, it's amazing. So, so be careful with that. And if you use a client like Outlook or Thunderbird or on the Mac, you know, the Mac Mail, you can't do this on an iPad or in a browser at Gmail or anything like that. But there's something called data execution prevention mode, and you go into the settings like trust settings or security settings or safety settings or something like that. Data execution prevention is just like it sounds. Data should not be executing anything. So email is data. If you turn this on, your email program will prevent anything from executing. So if you do download something, chances are it won't run. And then if you turn off attachment previews, because now you don't even have to click on an attachment, just previewing it could, you know, be, you know, a bad thing. Disable macros if you have that setting. You don't want anything like that running. If you use HTML email, don't have the pictures download automatically because there's some vulnerabilities there. And better yet, don't use HTML email. Just have everything come as plain text. That, you know, I'll show you a picture of that. It's not pretty, but nothing's going to happen. So if you wanted to turn off HTML on a Mac, there's no little switch to do it, but you go into the terminal and just put that in, and it is case sensitive, and again, you'll have this, and that'll turn it off on a Mac. And if you ever want to turn it back on, just put false, and that'll put HTML back on. So this is nice HTML formatted email. It's got columns and headings and everything offsets. And this is plain text. And so everything's there, all of the text and everything is there. But I don't know if you can see in the back, but this is actually a little link. It says section 965. And you don't really know what's behind there. But in plain text, that's what you would see. It's the full link, nothing's hidden, everything. Now the links still work. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. So you'd see this, and you know exactly what it is and where it goes.
But you can find out the same thing in HTML if you just hover over it.
Well, usually.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And so here's, John was nice enough to share this with us. He got this email, and you know, first thing you notice is that it looks like it comes from a place called Legal Guidance, but you know, weird jobs, legal guidance, pay, you know, there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and I think so. John said, you know, okay, what is legal guidance? What is this stuff? And you know, you can't see what it is actually, but it's just this string of random characters at t5x.templecubis.nl. You know, no legal, no guidance, no pay, no where, you know, there's a total disconnect there, you know. So John said, let's look further. And were you hovering, or were you, is this just a hover?
I just hovered over it.
Yeah, and so usually when you hover over something, you can see where it goes. And so in this case, it goes to freelancebitcoin.icu. So, you know, who knows what this is? It's going to be something that downloads and sees if you have a Bitcoin wallet and tries to meddle with your Bitcoins, or is it going to download mining? You know, you have no idea what it's going to do, but at this point, you know you don't want it.
So go back to the slide just before that. Up on the top, right where the blue is, there's a string there that's in very faint letters. The ending code on that is .nl, Netherlands.
Yeah.
Why am I getting an email from the Netherlands?
Yeah, I know.
That was
That's the clue.
kind of the clue.
And even though, you know, it's not Ukraine or Russia or China or something that would make your hair stand on end, but still, you know, the Netherlands, you know, you don't. So good on you for finding that, and thanks for sharing it with us, really.
And we get, just to add to that for a second, on the Silver Stripes website, there's a fence set up to ward off people trying to get in who shouldn't. And I've told some of you this, we get between 50 and 200 hits a day on that website. People from Ukraine, China, Russia, all over the world trying to get into the site. And it even shows what terms they're trying to use to get into the site. Admin, of course, is popular, password for password, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's happening all the time.
It is, yeah, it's just amazing. So usually, if you hover over something and there's a link there, you'll see what the link is, and it's this big thing that says that. And that's called a tooltip, that little window. So don't you know, there's some people who figured out how to obscure a tooltip, you know? And so usually it'll show you what it is, but not always. And so here's an example that there was. If you hovered over this, the tooltip shows ls space dash lat, just like it says. They've learned how to format these things, and in this case, they formatted it with a cascading style sheet, which actually they were able to say, this is what I want them to see, and let's hide the rest of it over here. So all that came up was a little tooltip this big with all of this stuff obscured. But if you copied and pasted it into something that doesn't know how to format, all of that formatting goes away, and you see everything. So right there. So really, that's the only way. And it may not be. This is a benign proof of concept that somebody did. So there's nothing bad happening here. It's just a proof of concept. But it showed that you can obscure a tooltip, what you see by hovering over it. So right click, paste it into Notepad and Window, or text edit on a Mac, and then you should be able to see exactly what it is. Yeah. And then, so here's a phishing example. This was, it's gotten some of it off. Well, anyway, it looks like it's from Apple billing, but if you look at the actual, it's from jangenpanic.net, and that's
You might
not
be able to
it.
pinch that to make it a little smaller. I don't know if that'll work or not. No? Okay. Oh,
Well, I could do that. How's that?
yeah.
And basically, so we don't need to see that anymore, but basically, you know, it was from Apple supposedly saying, you know, thanks for buying iCloud storage, you got 2 gigs, we're gonna charge you $20 a month, and if you don't wanna do it, click this link down below. Well, the first thing you do is, if you got an email saying that one of your accounts is different, sign in, go there in the browser, you know, so you go to Apple or iCloud or whoever might do this and just see what you're actually signed up for, you know. But if you click the link, it took you to that. Now, that's good,
pretty good.
you know, that's really good. The only thing is, and this is the actual site, but it was exactly the same. The only difference was that up there in the URL bar it said iSupports-AppleID-serveirc.com, and you know, you would expect to see, you know, apple.com, iCloud.com, or something like that. And then the second clue is, if you had two-factor authentication set up with Apple, you would expect a challenge. But if you clicked and went in through here, there was no challenge. So that was another clue. When you got through, you come to another page that looks just like an Apple, you know, profile page, and it asked for, you know, some weird stuff, all your usual stuff, but your social security number and then credit card details as well. So it was just, and then this wasn't just an email thing. This was a text campaign too. And so if you click the link in the text, that's where you went. It sure looks real. You know, does that look real? What's that?
I get a lot of those deactivated ones.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Just
Yeah,
goes
they
into
just
the
won't
junk
quit.
mail.
Yeah. Yeah, anymore. There is, this is a great site I want to show everybody. So, you know, we're now just, you know, using the operating system for antivirus and then Malwarebytes. And when you download a file or get a file from something, you can right-click on it and scan it with the operating system, Defender or whatever, or scan it with Malwarebytes. And that's just 1 or 2 scans, and you kind of, this is a place called virustotal.com. And if you go there, virustotal.com, the web page opens and says, drop your file here. So then you can go to the file that you downloaded or files, and just drag them over and drop them on that web page, and then it'll run it through, in this case, it ran it through 64 antiviruses, and they all said that there were no infections and stuff. So this is a great thing. And then it also will, anyone know what a checksum is if you download a file?
Right.
So this will actually produce the checksum SHA-2256 check file that you can compare against what you downloaded, and to make sure that you're doing. So it's a really good thing. VirusTotal.com.
And that will work on Mac, PC.
Yeah, it's just in a web. It's a web page in the browser. So and you just drag your file into it.
Do you have to download the file first?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You might be able to, if you've got the web page open, you might be able to drag it from the web page onto this web page. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if you have to download it first or not.
Yeah,
I would think, but I don't know.
Questions?
Is there something about rental cars that we should know about? Rental cars.
Yeah, rental cars. Don't, 61. There's a picture I want to show you here. So for rental cars, don't use Bluetooth or plug your USB into a rental car, because all your stuff goes into the rental car, and you may not be able to delete it, before you turn it in or whatever. Yeah.
It'll be all in the car.
Although, don't most of them ask you if you want to download your phone book?
I don't know. I don't know.
The last time I did it,
Yeah.
it was just
It- it-
taking.
Mine, the ones, a couple that I've been in, not rental cars, but the cars that we, it just didn't.
I'm so
So
bad.
I don't know, if it would ask. But so, you can get one of these cigarette charger things, cigarette lighter chargers that you can plug USB into. Or these are great, these data blockers. You put your USB in there, and then when you plug that in, the only thing that goes through is the power. No data goes through. Yeah, so that'd be okay to use that. Same thing goes for hotel rooms, airports. In the airports anymore, a lot of hotel rooms, it's not a charger plug. It's a USB port. Well, you don't really know what's behind that. Usually nothing, but could be.
Same thing with an airplane.
Same with an airplane. That's exactly right.
Oh, good point.
Yeah. So yeah. And
What brand are those US data blockers?
these are Portapal, PORTAPOW. I don't know if there's others. If you just search for USB data blocker or Portapal, if you do the data blocker, other brands might come up and stuff. But I think you get 2 for $10 or 2 for $20.
Files online.
Yeah,
In the folder.
yeah. This will all be in the PDF. Yeah.
Do we have to scan it first?
Questions?
Do we have to scan it first?
I'm gonna scan it for you.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's gonna be clean when you get it. I guarantee it.
Just click on the
Any other quick questions? Boy, what a great.
Thank you.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
using my computer anymore.
Yeah.
You got stuff.
I got some work to do.
Yeah.